Welcome to What the Flick, everybody. Ben, Alonso, Brett, Matt, to talk about the Deuce. We're a little downcast because we've just learned Tom Petty died.
Yeah.
Literally in the last 40
Like today wasn't shitty enough.
Yeah, right. Anyway, it seemed weird. I didn't even want to shoot this today because of because Las Vegas happened last night. But anyway, the Deuce. This is called I See Money, episode 4. And I watched it last night before I knew about Vegas. I watched it very late, but and then found out about Vegas afterwards. But I already, it's an episode that a show that has already fully grabbed you, that you're fully invested. If this is episode 4 of season 2 of The Wire or Game of Thrones or The Americans or something, you're like, all right, they're setting stuff up. Yeah. And they had to get to 10 episodes.
They're taking a breath.
Right, they're taking a breath. But we gave such a positive review last week. We all loved episode 3 so much that I felt like they were hitting a degree of momentum that would carry us. And so it felt a little odd that this show didn't have the propulsive nature that I thought episode 3 did. I still care about these characters, we're still good, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're getting away with it because the characters are so interesting and because the things we're learning about them are so, are enriching, if that's even a word, enriching the entire experience. But yeah, you're right, it does seem like, okay, whoa, pump those brakes. We had too much story last week.
Right.
More character.
Yeah. You don't think so, Matt?
I don't know that I agree as much. This may not have been quite as propulsive, but I think that there were developments we certainly saw, right? I think that we see the day-to-day how tough it's gonna be to run that bar. The cops come in and basically want their protection money, which is weird. Like, I think we're actually gonna see forward movement on whatever scheme the mob's got going on. The money laundering scheme at the construction site is falling apart. And I thought we saw, did we get a lot of just character-driven stuff? Sure, like Candy gets asked out on a date and she doesn't really know how to handle it.
Right. Yeah, I thought that there was, to that point, it was good. It was just a setup episode, and like I love setup episodes in The Sopranos, but by then I was just, and Cenk and I used to argue about that. He'd be like, nothing happened. I'd be like, I love it when nothing happened, right? But it surprised me at this early nature to give us a nothing happened, and of course not nothing. But yeah, it was just clearly an episode, I think, where we're angling toward, obviously things weren't going well for Candy already because of nothing goes well when the only thing well was that she didn't have a pimp, that she's sort of an independent contractor and you admire that. But here, a guy dies, she's incapable of having a date or a real relationship because she don't ask too many questions and she doesn't even understand what he's doing. She asks him, what do you want? And he's like, your phone number, right? But then, so things are, but they fall apart for her. A guy dies, she doesn't know how to date. It's terrible. She's clearly at a breaking point. And for Vince too, the scheme's falling apart. One of his friends gets beaten up badly. He realizes that he's, again, in bed with dangerous, awful, manipulative criminals. So we get the feeling that these people are somehow gonna come together in the porn industry.
Yeah, for Candy, she had a handful of really well done scenes that are that are again testament to like the way the writers can set up and communicate things to you that a lot of writers just don't. A lot of writers will just tell you, not show you. I really like the montage of Candy getting the courage, the liquid courage up to call the guy back.
Playing
it over and over again.
And discovering that as a viewer that was what was happening.
And keeps trying on different clothes, like it clearly mattered to her, right? Like she keeps trying different.
She was nervous. Yeah, she was really nervous.
Which was a different take on her character because you hadn't seen that, right? And then this was an episode.
No, she'll go into a theater when it's raining. I don't care, on my back, on my knees, I don't care. She didn't care about anything, and then she cared.
She did care, but in the last episode, you had seen as she thinks she's got a line on getting into movies, right? There's a spark there, and it's getting her brain working, and she seems real interested in it. And this one shows us like she really it almost maybe it's setting us up that
she needs a lifeline.
She needs that lifeline.
The way she cried in that scene last week, when she was heartbroken in such an effective way, stifling. What a great performance of because crying is hard enough. Stifling,
making yourself not cry.
Making yourself not cry must be even harder for an actor, and so that was like her dreams had been crushed, and she had then resigned herself to there's a rat, and I'll go into the theater and I'll work there because it's raining. But then still, she got snapped out of it again, right? By a normal person asking her out. It was nice.
And it's likely that this back and forth is quicker than it had been in the past for her. That's what I got off it. It's like she can put her head down and do whatever. She had been able to do that for a while, living the life that she's lived. And we did get a taste of some, prostitute professionals or whatever you want to call them that have been at the game for a while in another scene that I really liked, which was the suede jacket scene.
Yeah, that was nice. Right.
And it takes you a while to figure out what the hell's going on. Do we know this character that's gone? Is that a reference to anyone? It felt like it was just a mutual acquaintance they had in the past. That
more than a mutual acquaintance, like clearly with,
a dear friend.
A friend and
is gone.
Presumably, you get the feeling murdered. Right.
That was my take. Yeah. And you get the impression this is a thing they know that happens, and they've lost other people this way, and this is just them remembering this specific person.
My favorite moment of kind of professional camaraderie was the scene in the diner, right?
Yeah,
where the girl comes in and she was complaining she's on her period, she's not making as much, and the pimp is complaining, and then they all start talking about it.
Yeah,
and he's like, and that scene was awesome. I thought that was so funny because it's like, oh yeah, they're all
and then leads to this, word that my mom uses that I'm revolted by. Then leads to this really sweet, tender moment between the two girls the two women who were lovers.
Loved it.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
And then also we have the
I hate to say it, it's just a raw reaction. I was like, I like this show better now. It's two women, naked and beautiful, and intercourse.
I agree with both of them.
Sorry, it's a genuine reaction.
It certainly belongs in this story as much as anything else does, and there was nobody gets a rat crawling on them, heaven knows. Also, we have the NYU dropout giving the bus ticket to Darlene. So clearly, she sort of at this point is new enough to this world that she sort of fancies herself as potentially being somebody's sort of savior, and I suspect that that's the kind of idealism that will get drummed out of her real quick.
Probably, although yes, probably, and she, but meaningful relationship would seem to be starting. That was a good.
And they had talked before about books and stuff, so they were, No,
meaningful relationship with Vince. Yes, that's a meaningful relationship with Darlene.
With Vince, yeah.
But then we also get the sex scene with Vince, which was a good.
I'm in charge here. I like that.
Right, that was good. I'm in charge here. And yes, I have one idea, and she's like, go ahead.
And then in terms of this being an episode, it does heighten. You're absolutely right. It brings up another team, which is corrupt cops. And it heightens this sense of foreboding amid the backdrop of an uncertainty of like a legal system that's dependable. And in addition to not having, you have the mob on one side that you thought was your friend, and they flip in this episode. The police are on the other side, and the mob runs the bar. The police, I am told, are typically in the pocket of the mob if they're corrupt. Do they have a rival police strain? And then,
or are they double dipping?
Are they double dipping possibly? And then and I'm a little uncertain about where the edge of the 40 of the Deuce is, and if the bar is in it.
Well, they said they mapped it out last episode. It was like 42 to 45.
Right.
Some direction
42 to 44, I think, and like 8th to the river.
Yeah, I love the whole thing where they do the test arrest.
Yeah,
like, let's just see if this is really a thing.
Yeah,
it's a thing.
Yeah. So and then we got really the only fully righteous character on the show, it would seem, is the reporter for the black paper for the Amsterdam News. Yeah. And then her sort of
outed by her shoes.
Right, outed by her shoes.
I
mean, there were like, I'm not knocking the episode. I mean, there was just one great, well-written scene after another. It lacked energy.
It is a surprising fourth episode for a first season. You're right, because like we should be going somewhere and then occasionally sort of stopping to smell the roses.
Especially after it got going.
And so like these are early roses, but they're still great roses. So,
we've talked about, I don't know if we talked about on this, I think I may have brought it up when we did some reviews around The Defenders. With some of these shows, you end up with 2 or 3 languid episodes before the action starts, right? Because the writers know they've got the whole season's paid for, and they can shoot it. So they can really take a lot of time setting up the characters. And I bring all that up to say, you almost feel like this would have been your 3rd episode, and the next episode would have been
sort
your
of.
4th.
It just
like another episode of talking, and this becomes yet another show where you say, you gotta stick till episode 4.
I certainly am not arguing that I know better. I'm just struck by like I just thought, we're gonna be going here for a while, and then we weren't. But there was, you guys keep bringing up scenes that were that were so good. I mean, the college dropout and Darlene was a great scene, and the diner was a great scene, and the shoot. I mean, I love that her roping the cop who's interested in her, and then
takes him on a stakeout.
And then she takes him on a stakeout and gives him the burger. She says, I'll have a couple of fries, but he's still interested. He's like, I think I may like you even more now. Right?
See when they hire who they now call Black Frankie.
Right.
The van with the gun.
Right, and then he starts, and then when
he picks the lady gun.
Right, when Vincent starts arguing with the guy, and Black Frankie's like, "Man, you start early." Like, whatever he says, right? He's like, "Well, you need me immediately," or something like that, right?
Am I already gonna have to shoot someone?
So no, like all that.
But those are all valid criticisms, I think, where you have a bunch of scenes, but an episode is not just a bunch of scenes. It needs to be assembled in a way, and then thinking about it afterwards makes each scene more rewarding. But
I think the nature of episodic television becomes different. Like you said, when the season is done and when they know the whole thing is going to air, it's not like a deal where, oh God, we have to make sure we get that audience early on or else they're going to cancel us and we're fucked. These HBO shows, these Netflix shows, anything where the entire season is guaranteed going to happen, whether it's all in one day or over the course of weeks, I think is completely changing the way that these shows get written. And you can give yourself an episode like this and know that, obviously it helps if you're David Chase and you have a built-in audience at this point and that knows you're gonna do this kind of thing. You know the audience is gonna go with you. And even if they don't, then you know that the rest of the show is still gonna get to play out.
Yes, that's all true, except for and it's been picked up for season 2. So this is all
season Deuce.
Season Deuce. It's all largely this part is irrelevant. But with so much enormous quality television, I mean, just that they were overwhelmed. Great shows like Narcos that I can't find the time to watch, and I know I'm gonna love that show. I've seen an episode and I liked it, but so. You run the risk of, you want to be able to, I want to be able to be a champion for the show and I want to convince people, no, you got to watch The Deuce, and I don't want them to be like, I gave it a shot, but I just, I know it's good, but.
That's true, I bailed out of Boardwalk Empire after 3 episodes because it was like, nothing's happening.
Right, it took till 8 or 9. Right.
Then it was, and it was too late.
You've brought this up, and I've mentioned it too. I've never watched The Wire, and I don't really, short of going on a vacation, I don't have the time.
Do it. Right.
Just watch the first scene.
Right. We're still, a bunch of us, we're still watching movies, we're still watching TV, and okay, sure, this is the mother of all first world problems, but the time commitment to really appreciate a work of art like The Wire is gonna require me of pretty much 2 weeks of doing nothing else.
Here's the thought I have.
In fact, maybe I'll talk Cenk into letting me.
It's not a bad idea. I'll jump in there.
Everybody email Cenk.
One thought I had was after this episode was done and it ended in a different kind of scene than I've seen.
What was the last scene?
It was in the diner. I forget what it was even. I just remember going, and so that's the end of the episode.
The bus ticket scene?
Yeah.
It was a bus ticket scene, and it wasn't, I didn't really feel it, so I was thinking, oh, I want that feeling, so I want to watch a couple episodes of The Wire now, in a row to get that same thing. I will say, it is a lot of the shows that we're talking about where we say any given episode doesn't have to be rewarding in a conventional sense. The difference is HBO shows now do still come out 1 week at a time, and they will, after the season's over, exist in a way that's fine to binge.
Right.
Now Netflix says, listen, if this isn't bad, you just sit there and wait till the next episode plays because we drop all 12 at the same time.
Right. And you have to really be on the remote or you're just gonna go right into the next one anyway.
It'll stop every 3 to make sure you're still watching because we have to pay for these episode by episode. But I do think that it hasn't fully accounted for that. I have to wait a week after every episode.
What's amazing though is it's taken 4 episodes for us to go a whole review of this because we're out of time. And erect penises, which were never seen in movies or television, right?
For a long time, outside of art house or something.
Right.
And all the types of movies that
finally
are getting made here.
And now we're there it is, and it's on a dead guy. Yeah.
Well, apparently, cable shows have to be no further than R-rated. So I think they figured out the ground of as long as it's a prosthetic and as long as this or that, they're giving us the high science we have to go. So we can talk more about penises next week, and I totally plan to.
Not just next week.
No.
All right, guys, thanks. Episode 5, right, of The Deuce next week. Thanks for watching. know that.